So I went to this rally yesterday in Oxford, the anti-LTN and 15-minute city rally. Um, and, for what it's worth, I just wanted to go down there with the camera to see what was going on, see what it would be like, and what the people had to say. Now, I was not really expecting so many people. There were a lot of people, a very, very, very densely packed crowd. When you turn up at an event like this, it's quite difficult to, you know, to get in there and meet all the different types of people. I got a few little interviews which you can see along the way. Not great, but you get the idea. I just wanted to say, in my sort of conclusion summarised about this, I was there yesterday and I was thinking about it last night. There were a lot of organisations who had travelled in to Oxford from outside, like myself and the small company I went with. But there were a lot of actually organised protest groups, from various backgrounds, who had all attended this Oxford rally. It seemed to be like a kind of a calling point or a lightning rod for the wider issue of low-traffic neighbourhoods and 15-minute cities, which are being brought in around the country. So bear in mind that this crowd, was filled with, from my experience, predominantly people not from Oxford. I did find some people from Oxford, which was useful, but most of the people I met were from outside, and they said that they were standing in solidarity with Oxford, but also Oxford was the beginning, the thin end of a wedge, and they were worried, or some of them knew, they had seen the plans, that the similar LTNs were going to be brought in neighbourhoods near them or where they live. So that Oxford rally yesterday had, well over 2,000 and 3,000. It was like 5,000 at least. Anyway, that was a rallying call, or a rallying point for people who are going to be similarly affected all over the country. Also, I want to point out, this experience is quite usual when you go to one of these events. I've been to a few over the years. You do get people from the fringes, what you would call the crackpots, or the fascists, or the far right, or the loony left, or the conspiracy theories, the flat earthers. I'm just using names which get bandied around sometimes. I'm not judging anybody or criticising anybody. It's a democracy at the end of the day, and any event like this attracts lots of people who want to bring out their own warning signs for democracy, about how everything's being turned into an open-air prison, about the World Economic Forum, facial recognition, digital IDs, all of that sort of thing. It's just the way it goes when you have one of these events. The problem with that is that people who want to try to spin or slant the protest in a negative way will jump onto these guys and say, look, they're all crackpots, or look, they're all conspiracy nutters. But we all know that that's not true. At the heart of it are just normal people who are being affected by government policy in a negative way, and they've come out in numbers to protest. Like these guys here, who were an actual genuine Oxford family, who I managed to find before all of the other interviews veered off in other directions. And that interview you can watch in full later. You can hear their voices and listen to their concerns. For now, I'm just summing up. So I spent most of the time while the crowd was moving, trying to get to a vantage point so I could see the scale of it. I managed to stand on this little metal box thing on the side of the road for a bit, and that's really when I could really see how many people there were at this thing. It was huge. Huge by modern standards anyway, not by old school standards like that Iraq war one they had in 2001 or whenever it was. There's like 1 million odd people there, I think, in London, wasn't there? The biggest protest rally I've ever attended was in London. It was in 2014. That was well over 10,000 people. But when you take 10,000 people, or even 5,000 or 6,000 people, and condense them into the streets of Oxford, it's going to look huge. Especially when the numbers are somewhat swollen by sympathetic groups from outside, which this was. But you can still just get a good overview, a bit of an insight into the kind of the widespread disapproval of these LTNs and the unpopularity of 15-minute neighbourhoods, and all of the worries and fears that these have stoked up in people. They're natural worries, they're understandable fears. And, it's not like we live in an environment where we have a trustworthy government or a media that is, telling the truth to us. It's plain and obvious for all to see how things are actually managed in this country and in this world. And that only makes the fears and the conspiracy theories more worrying and more potent, really. So I think what you want about crackpot theorists, that's not what this is about. I just wanted to make that statement for you. That's just a natural part of democracy. But people are welcome to come along, and people have their points of view, don't they? Everybody is entitled to their opinion and their thought process. I would just be cautious. This is just my point of view. This is only my opinion. I would always try to be cautious when any movement gets to a certain size. Once it gets big enough, it will get latched onto by chancellors and opportunists and what have you, who do have their own political axe to grind. They're only small timers on the edges here, handing out leaflets, but as things go, there is the potential to actually damage a cause by having too many people join onto it. But it's a protest at the end of the day. They are useful. They're useful for people to come along and vent their frustrations, to mix and mingle with like-minded people who are having a similar experience. And it's also a great place to actually make some contacts and potentially learn something. That's why these things are good overall. So what if they do get latched onto by crusties and weed smokers and end of the world theorists and stuff like that? It's democracy at the end of the day. What are you going to do about that? Anyway, I'll stop talking now and just let you watch the videos. All these interviews here, which I managed to snatch from this huge mob, I like to just present them all unedited. I want you to just see and hear what they said themselves. I don't need to cut it up and edit it in any way. I just want to put it there so it's on the record. You can watch it if you want to. The people who were in the interviews can see themselves talking. It's just an opportunity to get some more voices heard, really, isn't it? That's the difference between a journalist and a propagandist. A journalist is just somebody who's there to bring the information out and show you it so that you can make up your own mind. A propagandist is somebody who takes information and messes with it and tries to tell you what to think. So all of my videos I like to try to keep as raw and unedited as I can. Yes, it means they get a little bit long, but I'm just doing it so that it's on record, really. So here you have the interviews from the Oxford rally, which I managed to capture on the 18th of February 2023. So we made it to Oxford. Here we are standing in the Broad Street? Broad Street, centre of Oxford. Here we're going to learn about what these guys are fighting or protesting against. LTNs. Guys, tell us about LTNs very briefly. Or what are you doing here today? Sorry.
Today we are opposing the LTNs, the obstructions they have put on the road for the community. They are letting the community, not letting the community go from one road to the other. What used to take 5 minutes is taking 35 minutes. So that's what we are opposing. Now they are talking about 15-minute cities, which is...
Emergency vehicles can't...
Is one of these LTNs in a neighbourhood near you?
Yeah, in East Oxford.
When did it get put in?
4 months ago, and it's really divided the community. And some people are fighting for it, human bullards, even though people trying to go to hospital appointments, care workers, emergency workers, school children, because they are all academies here. They are accepting everybody from all over Oxford. So parents are worried, teachers are worried. We have got no teachers in school, no care workers because of this time they've been taken.
How many LTNs are there around Oxford at the moment, do you know?
There's dozens. I mean, they're all up one of the main roads, Cowley Road in Oxford. There's just every single road is blocked off except for her road.
My road, and all
It's
the
the only
traffic
one you
has
can
to
get
come
through.
down my road.
So you're the one who gets all of the displaced traffic?
Noise, yeah, and all the traffic. It's horrendous. It's horrendous.
I think one of the main points is that this has been introduced fairly undemocratically. So there hasn't been sufficient consultation with local people, and when there has been consultation, the council have said they're going to go ahead with it anyway, whatever the results are. So that's why you see so many people here today. And why,
It's frustrating.
yeah, and the message has become more broadly about freedoms and freedom to travel, freedom of movement, and that sort of thing. And I don't think that's a particularly controversial message.
No, well, I think that we're all with you there.
See, there's only 4 or 5 arteries joining the city center to the outside world. And what they have done is all the traffic from the smaller roads, which they have blocked, is now using the arteries, which is taking long to travel, half an hour longer to travel anywhere.
Not only LTN, it's bus gates. They're putting bus gates to the
It's
main
creating
roads.
more pollution. They are saying they are reducing pollution. Actually, they are creating pollution on the major. They are sort of lumping all the traffic onto the main arteries, and people living around that area, like I do, it is causing a lot of health problem as well.
They know people are against it, and now they're trying to put cameras so they can find people who are not having any permit to pass those
They're
filters.
just
This is
creating a
really,
source
really
of
bad.
income.
Yeah. Have any of you been? Have any of you guys been fined yet?
And the Green Party supports this, and it's making extra pollution because everyone has to travel further anyway to get anywhere. And the Green Party is saying it's a good thing.
They do.
Because now we got county council with Liberal Democrat, Greens and Labour, and they are deciding, and we voted for them for ages to be in city council, and now they are opposing these filters to us who supported Labour Party for a long time.
This is a citizen issue, see? Who do we go to if we have a problem as a citizen? We go to our councillor and say, take our complaint to the council. Now, what they have done is, all the 3-4 main parties, they are backing the LTN. Who we go to? Who is going to listen to us?
Freedom.
Sounds like a story we're familiar with by now, doesn't it? You know that there's
63% voted against them. And they still went ahead.
still go ahead anyway.
I mean, a lot of people didn't even know about the consultations. I mean, I'm a mobile hairdresser and I have to make massive detours to get to my customers, and no one wants it. Everybody I speak to has is negatively affected by these, and well, what can you say? So that's why we're campaigning now.
Well, we're here in solidarity from Cambridge. Yes. So, have you got a message for the people of Cambridge? Because we're all facing similar things.
Well done.
Have you got the same
Keep
level
in touch.
going on
Keep
in
in touch.
Cambridge?
It's different. So we don't have we got some LTNs being trialled. They don't call them LTNs. They call them active travel measures. But they're basically just roadblocks.
Yeah, right.
They're testing those out, and they're bringing a congestion charge around the whole town for every vehicle. So it's remarkably similar when you get to the political end.
It's by another name, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's the same. It's just like.
But did you demonstrate? We demonstrate, we stood in Main Road. we went to
It's all in
County
the build-up at the moment. There's a protest happening on the 26th, so in next weekend. Is it next weekend? Yeah. Anyway, next weekend, and then there's movements that have formed about.
Sport, we'll support you.
Well, check it out. I mean, you only have to search for it. It's all on the internet and Facebook and things like that. So, all right. Thanks, guys. Cheers. Yeah, and you. Thanks. It looks like there's another wave of people on their way to join. Although you can't necessarily tell the difference between protesters and regular shoppers at the moment. So here I've just caught, I don't know your name, I'm sorry, I recognise your face.
Callum Smiles, Rebel News.
Yeah, so I just wanted to catch you because I came here to Cambridge to start to connect the dots between the different towns and all the different things that are going on. Now I've seen you interviewing people around the place. You've been to Oxford, I saw you went to Davos as well. So from your point of view as a reporter, you must have spoken to a lot of people. Is there a global connection between all of these LTNs and various controlling schemes, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, the evidence is out there that shows that this isn't just a local issue. You know,
Yeah.
You only have to do a quick search online, and you can see that actually 15-minute cities. It's not a British concept. It's happening in different countries. So, yeah, to answer your question, I think there is a global connection here.
Wow. There you go. Don't know what else, much more to say. Have you been to anywhere else in England asking questions about the same sort of thing?
So we've recently been to Canterbury. The interesting thing about all this is that 15-minute cities is more of a concept. It usually comes under different names.
Right.
So in Canterbury we have the Canterbury Circulation Plan. In Oxford, not many people actually know it, but it's the scheme here is actually called Traffic Filtering Systems. In some places like Norwich and parts of Scotland, you've seen places called the 20-minute cities, and then in the likes of Bath and Bristol, it's called a livable neighbourhood. So the concept is the same, just the name's different.
So why are all these things happening all at once, seemingly? Why are they spreading up all over the country? Do you know? Have you been able to figure that one out?
That's not a question for me to answer. It's one for me to find out myself. But many people in these parts, they all say it all comes down to control.
Yes, control. But then control's been going on for ages anyway. Different types of control. Is it got anything to do with this ambition to reach net zero by a certain date, do you think?
It seems that way. So, for example, here in Oxford, the City and County Council, one of the reasons why they want to bring in these traffic filtering systems is they want to make it a nicer place for pedestrians and cyclists, and also they say they want to make just the air more breathable and lower pollution. But some of the local residents have said they've actually caused pollution. For example, there's Cowley Road here in Oxford.
Yeah.
One resident who's lived here for over 50 years was telling me that it used to take me 2 to 3 minutes to walk down there. To drive down there. Now with the traffic, you're looking at 25, 30 minutes on a good day, and it's actually quicker for me to walk down there. Only now, the entire walk, all he can smell is petrol.
Well, there you go. There's another example of self-defeating policy, something that was set up to do one thing, having the opposite impact and the opposite effect. So all of these people here and in similar protests in other cities around the country, we're all joining together to push back against that, right? Good. Good. Thank you very much.
Do you want to ask you one question?
Go for it.
So why is it important for you to come down here today?
Well, like I said, we're experiencing similar measures in Cambridge, and I've been following that since about December. And so I thought the natural next step was to come to Oxford to come and see what the scoop was down here, because there's one in London as well, isn't there? And so I was basically just starting to branch away from Cambridge and to find out the points of view of the people of Oxford.
What concerns you most about this?
What concerns me most? I suppose from my point of view, I'm coming at it from a media perspective. I'm most critical of the BBC and the media in general, the way that they don't report things properly or accurately. They're always trying to gloss over the nasty details or trying to sell something, and they don't actually report in a very fair and unbiased way. There's clearly some kind of agenda going on within the media, and I just want to sort of try to be the antidote for that in my own world, in my area.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. What was your name again?
Callum.
Callum. Will. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So, how did it feel being interviewed for a change?
It's nice to actually be able to speak.
Yeah, you get to have your point of view across. Yeah. All right. So,
be careful because obviously you're there.
Well, let me do a quick sign off then. That's Will. That's Will and Callum reporting for Cambridge Cracker and Rebel News.
Cheers.
Thank you. Okay, so here we are. What has brought you to the protest today, sir?
Libertarian views, basically. What's happening here is the thin end of the wedge. I mean, they're saying it's Oxford, but it's not just Oxford. 100 different cities have signed up for this. As far as I know, the only one that said they don't want to implement protests like this is Southend-on-Sea. The reality is they'll say it's all for climate change. They'll say it's just restricting vehicles for all the right reasons. But the reality is, in the 21st century, for a lot of people, freedom is a set of keys. And if you restrict vehicular movement, you're restricting movement. Now they'll say, okay, we'll start, but you can leave Oxford and you can come back. What? You can leave twice a week, maybe. Okay, but how long before they change the goalpost and that becomes twice a month, twice a year, once in a blue moon? How long before it's like this? Right? Yeah. And that's what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing. is turning it into a prison camp.
Do you live in Oxford?
I don't live in Oxford, no. I live in Salisbury, and I run for Salisbury as an independent MP.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a senior druid down at Stonehenge.
I was going to ask.
And basically, I'm not only here representing my order, I'm here representing the Council of British Druid Orders, because all the Druids believe in freedom. And when you think about it, that's exactly what Caesar wrote about. The Druids who were fighting him for freedom, and that's why he put them to the sword.
So are there a lot of Druids?
There are a lot of Druids, like all earth-based religions. It's on the increase because people are looking back to what works as opposed to looking forward to what doesn't.
Right. So is there an actual order?
There are a number of orders. There are 21 on the Council of British Druid Orders, of which I'm representing today. My order is one of the biggest in the world. I have knights and ladies in my order all over the world, in the Americas, in Australasia, everywhere, Asia, around the world, and it's on the increase. It's it's challenging the big sex religions in this country at the moment, but if you think about it, the Druids are the native priest caste of these isles.
Well, there you go. We came here to learn, and if there was anybody there watching didn't know, you can actually become a Druid. Take it from this guy.
Come and meet me at Stonehenge at the solstice or the equinox.
I'll be there.
Excellent.
Thank you, brother. Do Druids shake hands?
Yeah.
You're recording, right? I just bumped into Alan Miller here. You're also on GB News, aren't you?
Well, I try and go on as many different things as possible that
Right,
I can, yeah.
So explain the Free Our Streets.
What we're basically saying is that we're campaigning with a lot of people in Oxford, Bath, Bristol, Canterbury, Edinburgh, around the country, on the issues of democracy and the public being at the heart of it, and not just having impositions, restrictions, taxes, fines imposed on us when they don't listen to the consultations. A bit similar to Cambridge, actually, where you've just had these congestion charges imposed, they haven't listened to you, and you've done great work there, challenging things. So we're saying take back democracy, free our streets. That if the majority of people, residents, constituents, actually want something, fine, but they need to be discussed. Need to do a bit of a cost-benefit analysis, actually ask them, not just have these measures imposed and take away our freedom of movement.
Yeah, and should we just step over here a little bit? 'Cause how is your Take Back Democracy thing going? Is it gaining a lot of traction around the place?
Well, we've had, we've only got about 300,000 signatories, and now we're working with a lot of other groups that have got a couple of million. So we're getting out to a wider audience, but it's like everything, you've got to go and win hearts and minds. You've got to be able to convince people to get involved, and it's going to make a difference and do something. And that's why local stuff here is really important, like in Cambridge, people taking action on the ground. It's great to have a protest, people come down from elsewhere and all of that, show solidarity, but the really important stuff is on the day-to-day basis. So we have a big town hall style event here on the 9th of March at Wesley Hall. We've invited the councillors to come along to it and to discuss what's going on. We've got an event in Birmingham on the 16th of March talking about the impacts of the clean air zones and the measures that impose. And we're doing that in each area with wherever these measures are being imposed, getting the councillors, making them, saying that they have to be accountable. And the whole idea is that the public gets to have a say much more and make the democratic accountability happen.
Wow, that's amazing. When you say signatories, you've got 300,000 signatories. What are people actually signing?
So there's a combination of things. Originally it was against vaccine passports, so that was a kind of challenge to them. And then we've done some additional campaigns, of which this is one of them, around like the challenges and the impositions put on there.
Yeah.
So we've got a membership base as well, and we're working with other people like Fair Fuel, they got 1.7 million in their database. We're kind of now about to launch a cabinet where we're going to be talking on a range of areas, impacts and what's going on and what we need to do about it. So on the one hand, grassroots stuff, and on the other hand, having a cabinet.
Oh, so proper then. I didn't quite realise how organised you were.
Well, I think it's important that it's sometimes a little difficult. There's a few of us, but that's why having people locally and regionally is important, because we've got brilliant ambassadors in wards, in councils, in boroughs and regions up and down the country, and then groups around them and hubs. And the thing is, we have to be organised, don't we, if we want to have an impact.
Well, the reason I've come today from Cambridge is I'm starting to connect all those dots for all the different cities that have got their own versions of things going on. So how many are there roughly in your awareness of different cities that you're involved in, or are there
all right,
other
good
measures
question.
going
Well,
on?
there's a really good site that you've got. If you go to togetherdeclaration.org, you can see and put your actual postcode in if it's happening in your area, because there's a site plan. But there's a range of things from parking zones to clean air zones to low traffic neighbourhoods to 15 to 20 minute neighbourhoods to ULIZ expansion.
Yeah.
So there's a whole range of different things going on. And at the moment there's the well-known ones, there's scores of them. But basically, this is part of an outlook increasingly that's being centrally funded and locally implemented. That's why Oxford's so important, because what happens here is going to be a bit of a leitmotif for other things as well.
Right.
I've got to apologise. I've got
No,
to get
fine.
on and do some more
Yeah,
bits.
of course.
Really
Nice
good
to meet you,
talk
Alan.
to And well
Do
done
you
in
think-
Cambridge.
Thank you.
It's
Do you
really
think that-
great, inspiring work.
Do you think you'll be able to make it on the 26th?
I'm coming, yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I'll be
we'll see you there.
I'll be there in solidarity. I should be speaking as well. I'm talking to Cheyenne.
Yes, all right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Nice
Nice one,
Thanks a lot,
Alan.
mate. All
Cheers.
the best. Well
Bye.
done, guys.
That was Alan Miller there from, what was it called? Don't stop recording, please. That was Alan Miller there from Take Back Democracy, you know already. Well, go on.
I don't really know that much, but these great people have put together this website, and it's all about talking about what they've brought, what the system has brought here to Oxford, and they're also bringing it to Canterbury next week, I believe.
Right.
It's called 15 minute city, so they want everything you'd be able to access everything that you need all within 15 minutes of your home.
Yeah.
And it's an effective, it's a climate change lockdown, and it's an open air prison.
Yeah.
So you are I don't know the numbers. I don't know all the numbers, but I've heard that you'll only be allowed outside your zone. The city will be split up into 5 or 6 zones, and you'll only be allowed outside of your zone 100 times a year. And
it's just mad, isn't it?
That is
it's
absolutely
like 2
mad.
days a week or something like that, isn't it?
It's fucking.
Do you live in Oxford?
No, I do not. No, I
so
live
you
in
don't live
North
in one
Wales
of
now.
these 15-minute cities
No,
yourself?
but it will snowball and it will get all over the country.
So is that the reason why you've come today? Because you believe that this is going to sort of spread?
It's been happening. I mean, when you've been viewing all of this for such a long time, you see it all snowball, and it's once this comes in, then everything's there.
Okay,
It's all.
Thank you so much. So you're advertising this website here.
Well, I'm
Truth Bombs.
handing this out because these lovely people who are handing these out give me a handful as well. So
fair enough. So if anybody wants to look at some things, more information about it, check out truthbombs.me. And you, sir, very kindly just handed me 20 quid. Why did you do that?
Because
I can assume it's not a real £20 note.
Let you be aware of this particular new word, programmable.
Yes.
See? It means
the digital currency.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it can be controlled from remotely.
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing. So hopefully we can keep the good old-fashioned cash.
You are not really the owner of your money.
No.
Well, once it's if you have a 50 quid note, and the butcher wants to go and get his hair cut, he'll take out a £50 note and pay it to the hairdresser.
Right.
The hairdresser will take a £50 note and pay it to the grocery for his groceries.
Yeah.
So a £50 note stays £50. It's £50. Whereas if a card gets used, £1.50 will get charged at every single point, and the bank just takes the money.
Yeah.
So it's bankers just. So it's, I don't want to say it, but we know who the people are that are just siphoning money away from all the slaves. So
it does happen. I run a shop, and we use a card machine, obviously, and it's something around 2.4%, or I mean, the percentile increases gradually over time. But every single transaction that anybody makes, 80p or something like that out of 10 or 20 quid goes to some...
out of your pocket.
Yeah, and it just goes straight up into this global payment system. Yes, I understand.
And, hey, global, that's another thing.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Globe. Why do we all believe it's a globe? Why? Principally because we're told when we're yay high.
Right.
And that's it. When we're impressionable,
right,
and we take on whatever authority figures tell us.
Right.
And and we're placed in front of what is called a teacher.
Okay, but don't you, just to
Well,
throw a spanner in your works,
Yeah.
don't you think about things yourself sometimes? You know,
What
you
do you
don't have
mean?
to be taught things all the time.
Oh no.
And so,
No,
like,
not at all.
the world being round, for example, of what you just said there seems quite, self-evident.
Well, it's clearly, I don't know what it is. I don't have the dimensions of.
No, but we have like
of
bubbles and spheres and balls and things like that.
Yeah.
It's consistent in the universe, isn't it? So.
Oh, is it? Is there just lights in the sky? You
Could
can't. So if I came round to fit your carpet,
Yeah.
and I came round to draw up the dimensions of your carpet,
Yeah.
and I started looking at the lights in your sky, your fixtures,
Yeah.
then you would send me out, wouldn't you?
Well, that wouldn't be
Say,
doing the job that I paid you to do.
It wouldn't
No.
be, would it? So but I don't know. All I know, it's not a globe. It's ridiculous.
Okay,
Ridiculous.
all right.
And so I think the whole thing is just a show. It's just a big pantomime, isn't
Like
it?
the Truman
It's
Show.
ridiculous. That's it.
Or The Matrix.
Well, yeah, The Matrix as well.
Okay.
There are great films out there.
They are brilliant. Yeah. They don't make them like that anymore.
So
They don't make them like that anymore.
No,
I
they
said,
don't. So who do you?
This
you
is
work
an
yourself
independent channel that I started in December called Cambridge Cracker. I'm from Cambridge, and so they've got a congestion charge being brought in over there, and so I've been led on from learning about that to learning about this in Oxford and the ULEZ and all that stuff. So I come over here to check out this protest, see how similar it is to Cambridge. It's pretty similar, and they are connected. So.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for your.
service.
Thank you, and you. As we walk along this alleged globe together
Yeah,
in different directions.
Alleged globe. That's it.
All right.
That's it. Just question everything.
And look who I've just found here in the crowd.
Okay.
Hang on. Piers Corbyn.
Yes.
What are you doing today here? What's brought you along?
Well, I'm here today as part of the mobilisation to stop this crazy 20-minute city in Oxford, and we're also opposing all zoning controls everywhere in the country, whether they're the 20-minute cities or the low-traffic neighbourhoods or the so-called clean air zones. They all have a common purpose. They're to control you, to get cash from you, and to con you into believing the man-made climate change story, which is then used to control everything by the World Economic Forum. We have to defeat that lie and defeat specifically all these zoning games. The ultra-low emission zone 1 in London is going very well, as are the opposition in Oxford.
I was going to say, what sort of response are you getting as you go around the place with this campaign?
In London it's now tremendous. 1/3 of people who are sent the ULEZ fines are not paying. 1/3 of them.
Wow.
And I myself owe £44,000 under their rules,
Okay.
and I'm not going to pay anything.
Amazing.
11 London boroughs of the outer London area are opposing Sadiq Khan's extension.
Amazing.
Some of them are now taken into court. Some councils are refusing to put up the ULEZ cameras. We can win this. We can beat Sadiq Khan. That's what we want to do.
Brilliant.
Smash ULEZ, smash Sadiq Khan,
So
and that'll be a great blow against the New World Tyranny. And, that will help us win in Oxford or vice versa. Whatever.
Well done. Thank you, Piers.
Thank you.
There's a proper revolt.
Yeah,
A proper revolt
there is a
against,
revolt,
of the people
actually.
against the
There
unpopular government.
There is. And they're using my slogan. Well, it's our slogan. It's everybody's slogan.
Thank you, Piers. Have you got
Thank
one
you.
last thing? A message for the people of Cambridge, maybe? I'm
Well,
from Cambridge.
we will be here, we'll be there in Cambridge next weekend.
Amazing.
Next Saturday, Trafalgar Square, Sunday, Cambridge. I know you've got a rally, we'll be there.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Okay.
Nice to
Thank
meet you.
Great.
Hello, Cambridginos. We've got the representatives from Cambridge. Repping the message. Nice work, guys. Well done.
Okay, Cambridge.
Are you recording? Okay, so here we are. We've actually found one. The famous, or now I should say infamous. This is the cause of all the problems. This box and this box, and probably what used to be a bollard here, which is now gone. This is an LTN. You cannot drive through without paying. And this is what people are protesting about. I wonder why they haven't been smashed up yet. You want me to say it again? All right. Okay. And here we go. Are you filming this time? We've actually found one. This is what all of the fuss is about. This is an LTN. This plant box here, and this plant box here, and this bollard which has been taken up. This is what's causing all of this. Obviously not to include all the conglomerated assortment of crazies and protesters and anti-establishment type people. But here it is. Explain. Okay, just say that again, what you were saying about
in the morning, all the tradespeople don't come over anymore, so business is down 30% between 8 and 11 o'clock. So between 8 and 11, we are making almost nothing.
And as a result of the LTN?
Yeah, because they need to be at work. They used to come over, nip back to work, have a breakfast, drive to work. But now people are avoiding Cowley Road.
Experience up the whole street?
I guess so, yeah. I guess peak hours, you don't want to be on the Cowley Road because you get stuck.
This is Cowley Road, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Cowley Road, yeah.
I've read about the Cowley Road. I'm so glad to be
the
here.
best place in Oxford.
We're going to have one of your amazing patties or pancake stacks or whatever. Yeah, thank you. I'll do a little bit of a plug for you. Where's your logo? Oh, there. This is Cambridge Cracker reporting from Rick Steiner on the Cowley Road. So we're just about to leave Oxford after our thing, watching the demonstration, and just before we left I wanted to just point this thing out here. I might be wrong, okay, but this pub, the Eagle and Child, the reason why that's famous is because this is the actual place where J.R.R. Tolkien used to come and write. Watch out for the car. This is where J.R.R. Tolkien actually used to sit and drink ale and smoke a pipe and write his writings, which ended up in The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings and The Silmarillion and all the rest of it. One of my absolute favourite men of all time, and an astonishing writer. And look, what a sad sign of the times this is. The Eagle and Child is closed, empty. Maybe we could buy it. Anyway, that's Will Burnell reporting for Cambridge Cracker, live from Oxford. See you all on the 26th for the Cambridge one. Hopefully not as ramshackle and crazy as this one was.